progressives' concern is if they get on board and sign on to this bipartisan bill, then senators like you are going to lose your appetite for doing another big economic package. What's your response to that?
I don't think that at all. There's a need in both. The social adjustments that we need to make in this country to help working families survive and prosper and maybe attain that American dream. It should never be a dream that has died and gone away. The American dream is what gets us up every morning and works every day, as hard as we do. Let's give them a chance at that. So we know we need those adjustments. But saying I'm going to not vote for the other one because you haven't guaranteed to vote for everything, we've never done legislation that way. I've never been a part of it in 10 years I've been in the Senate. So let's work the legislation the way it's going to be presented. Let's make sure it goes through the process, make sure it goes to the committees, comes back to the floor, and let's work it. If no Republicans, which I don't think we will have on the second one, I'm not assuming that, but I've heard them speak. So then we're going to have to work it through reconciliation, which I've agreed that can be done. I just haven't agreed on the amount because I haven't seen everything that everybody is wanting to put into a bill.
This statement by Joe Manchin is good news, because prior to this, here's how it went down. Democrats could have passed one infrastructure bill with all of their priorities, the American Jobs Plan and the American Families Plan, what's called hard infrastructure and human infrastructure. But Biden wanted to bring Republicans into the process, so a group of 10 bipartisan senators negotiated a bipartisan hard infrastructure deal. Meanwhile, Democrats were simultaneously moving forward with the rest of their legislative priorities that would pass via budget reconciliation, which only requires a simple majority to pass the Senate. And I know you might be thinking that moving some things to a bipartisan deal and then passing the rest through reconciliation anyway might seem redundant and unnecessary, but it actually helps Republicans, because if it's passed, they'll be able to go back into their states and districts and say, I helped fix that road, that bridge, those water pipes, I got you broadband. And that's a big deal, as Americans more and more are losing their appetite for sending their elected officials to Washington on a $147,000 a year salary to do literally nothing. So by moving forward with a bill that's palatable for Republicans, Democrats handed them a gift. And yet still, despite that gift, when Democrats announced that the two packages would move forward in tandem, the bipartisan infrastructure bill and the budget resolution, Republicans clutched their pearls and had collective fainting spells and pretended to be furious, as if Democrats had no right to even suggest that they could pass a bill with the remainder of their priorities through reconciliation. Now, first of all, Republicans were well aware that a reconciliation bill was moving forward this entire time. If I knew that a reconciliation bill was moving forward, then I can promise you that Republican leadership in Washington, D.C. did too. And if they truly had no idea, might I suggest Republicans watch anything other than Fox News? Second of all, Democrats are in the majority. They can pass anything they want through reconciliation so long as it qualifies. Republicans don't get to dictate what Democrats can and can't pass, and they certainly don't get to hold other bills hostage in exchange for Democrats surrendering their right to use the reconciliation process. I'm not sure if Republicans realize this, but they're in the minority. Maybe if their entire political philosophy hadn't been to undermine a free and fair election, they could have kept 2 seats in Georgia. Who knows? But that's not the case, and so they have to deal with the consequences of that. Consider too, did Republicans disarm when they had the majority and passed a tax cut for millionaires and billionaires and corporations in 2017? Of course not. They passed it despite having zero Democratic support. And so now, for them to think that suddenly Democrats have to kowtow to Republicans on their reconciliation bill is absurd. Like, I understand that Republicans might not like the proposals in this reconciliation package because they don't unilaterally help the richest people in the United States, and that helping regular Americans is going to be a tough pill to swallow, but they just might have to deal this time. Now, as far as Joe Manchin's concerned, his statement here is a promising one, in the sense that prior to this moment, Democrats' biggest obstacle was simply getting all of their members on board. And Republicans figured that they had leverage so long as they thought Joe Manchin wouldn't be on board. But now that Manchin said he is open to a reconciliation package, the Republicans' leverage has vanished. So, the GOP can either move forward with the bipartisan bill and take at least some credit for the accomplishments that it results in, or not. And Democrats will pass yet another bill that is wildly popular and will get to take full credit for it. If that's the way that Republicans want to do this, then that's totally fine. And then we'll go into midterms in 2022 being able to say that Democrats were not only responsible for those $1,400 checks and vaccine distribution and child tax credits and state and local funding in the American Rescue Plan, they were also responsible for the improved roads and bridges and drinking water and broadband and investments in education and climate change and child and elder care in the American Jobs and American Families Plan. It's already clear that only one party is interested in allowing the government to function. But if Republicans want to prove that by backing out of their only attempt at legislation, no one's stopping them. Because while their only consideration is politics, the rest of us are trying to make people's lives better. If you enjoyed that video and you're looking for a deeper dive, check out my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen. It's a no BS look at the top stories of the week, along with interviews with the top names in politics, like Vice President Kamala Harris, Jen Psaki, Elizabeth Warren, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Katie Porter, Pete Buttigieg, and more. Again, that's No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, available anywhere you listen to podcasts. Also, if you want to see more videos like this one, click the subscribe link right here on this screen to join the more than 1 million people who've already subscribed to my channel. And finally, to donate to my Don't Be a Mitch Fund, where I'm raising money for a whole raft of different voter outreach and voter registration groups in the closest states ahead of midterms in 2022, including Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, North Carolina, and Texas. You can find that link on this screen as well. Thanks for watching.